Hi, I'm Richard and welcome to my house. I actually moved into this place over lockdown, so one of my favourite things to do was to buy new art and new pictures. So this is actually the entrance place to my flat. This is the front door here, and this corridor is really great to have as an entrance, but it actually felt quite empty when I moved in, so I knew it was a great opportunity to hang up some art and get some personality up in here. This is of course Lil Za. He is someone that I feel like I missed his whole career until lockdown, and he started doing all these great visual music videos and performances and these songs, and I remember as soon as I heard them, it just blew me away and I just wanted more. And this is actually from the performance of Montero Call Me By My Name on SNL, where famously his trousers actually split. But I remember this was just such a news story at the time, and it's been recreated by Mark Glasgow, and it's an original print, and I just think it's the coolest thing ever, and it just makes it art, kind of pop culture and current events, and this moment in time just sums up lockdown for me, so I just had to get something to display that. Now I love all kinds of music, but one of my favourite passions is of course musical theatre, MGM's golden era of Hollywood. And I remember when I was a kid on TCM, I discovered That's Entertainment, and I know they got part 1, 2 and 3, and it kind of showed a little glimpse into behind the scenes and the making of these huge big budget musicals of the time. And I remember I used to always even look at the listings on the movie channels and be like, oh, are any of these like old ones coming up? And I'd see things that of course had been in history and been around forever, but I had never seen before, and it was just a whole new world, and I love it so much. So I've got a few of these prints, and it's kind of celebrating some of my favourite greats from the time. So this one of course is of Ann Miller, the toe tapper. I think she was like the fastest tapper of the time, but you can never really tell with those movies because you know they actually dub over the tapping, so you see her tapping and moving, but the tap's obviously put on top of it, so I never knew like, was she actually that quick, or was it just the magic of the movies? And this again was one of those Google black holes, because I never knew back in the day for newspapers, when they were releasing a movie, the studios would get out these press shots so they could get the buzz about it and get the stars there. And these are from archives, so I guess newspapers just have filing cabinets full of these old press shots. But what I really love about them is actually you see it's early retouching, done by paintbrushes. They'd edit in, so they'd either colour in backgrounds, add gloves, add hands. And this was long before you used to do the nip and tuck on Instagram filters, editing in waists, changing skin, changing poses, and it was all through paintbrushes. And I just love seeing it. And imagine printing presses back in the day, before Photoshop, before they had scanners. How did they get these pictures reproduced into newspapers? Like, it must have been such a process, and it blows my mind, and I just love it because it's kind of like a work of art in itself. I love when you hear a song on like Elaine Page on Sunday or on Spotify Shuffle, and you just hear one song by itself, and then I go and click the link and be like, where did that come from? The first song I heard from this musical was He's No Good, which is so powerful, so melodic, and such an emotional song. And then when I listened to the whole album, it's got everything. And I was really lucky because I think I discovered it a few weeks just before it was on at the Southwark Playhouse, and I got to see it live in London, which was amazing. Every single song is so good. My Body, The Oldest Profession, The Life, so good. Check it out. Now this one doesn't actually have anything to do with the theme, but just good advice on arrival. And here's another archive print, this time of the great Gene Kelly. He was probably what made me want to get into dancing and tap dancing. Yes, I did tap dancing as a kid. This is the vinyl cover of Dreamgirls, probably one of my favourite musicals of all time. Is there any other greater song than And I'm Telling You? This is from when they were launching it in London for the first time. They sent this out to press, and this is the original Broadway cast album. I love vinyl artwork, and I think this again is just one of those covers that is just so cool, so modern. It's design, it's stylish, and it has to be put in a frame. This is the playbill from Hello Dolly, starring Paul Bailey. This is here because Hello Dolly was such a big part of my life. When I was a kid in Edinburgh, I was acting, and one of my first ever lead roles was Barnaby Tucker in Hello Dolly, so it just has such a soft spot in my heart. And this version is actually really special because it's something I never even knew existed, because what they did in 1967 to reinvent it in Broadway was they cast it with an all-black cast. and I'd never heard the recording before and could not get it on any of the streaming services. So I had to send away, get a CD, find something to play the CD, put it onto my laptop, listen to it, but it was so worth it because the recording is just so amazing and it all sounds fresh and new, and Pearl's voice is out of this world and I just loved it. This playbill was actually one that I got myself. As a lover of theatre, I of course watched the Tony Awards and all the performances every year, and I remember they had Jenny's Blues from this. I wanted to see it so bad, I'd wanted to see it for months, and by chance I was over in New York working for Pret A Manger, and it was the final week of the show. So on the last day, I went outside, I queued, I got the last ticket for the last performance, and this is the playbill from that. So it's super special and such a good musical. Bring it back. This is a programme from Company in the West End, signed by the entire cast. Again, a really special show in my heart because back in Newcastle I was the president of the Musical Theatre Society, and I got to play Bobby in Company in Newcastle, but we also took the show to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and did a sell-out run. It was so much fun, a lot of drama, but fun. This was a really different version because they flipped it round, so instead of Bobby being played by a guy that it is traditionally, it was played by a girl, and again it just refreshed it and had a whole new sound to it and really worked, which was cool. This is another press clipping, this time from the stage. It's from the musical Blitz, which is done by Lionel Bart, which you might know better as the composer of Oliver. This was another production that never actually gets put on that much, but I think it's just the scale and the budget that's behind it, and it ran in London. But what's cool about this is my flat is actually in Victoria, and this is, in the stage production, it's a recreation of the set is Victoria Station, and so it's quite cool. So it's something that I pass every day, but also this is it on stage. And it's also important to me because as a kid I was in this musical. I have all the memories of performing it on stage, and it's nice just to have a little nod to that, and also to the fact that we're in Victoria. One of my favourite songs in the world is Last Dance by Donna Summer. So as the theme is music and lyrics, I had to of course have something of hers up in here. So in the 70s and 80s, of course, the vinyls were huge, so they went all out on the covers and the artwork, and I saw the cover of Bad Girls and was like, that is the one for me, that is going to fit in my house. And then when I got it, it actually had a whole spread of different setups and different photos inside. And what I actually picked in the end to go in the frame was the back cover, because it's Donna here, smoking a cigarette, standing in the street, looks like guys coming out with cash in his hand, like a streetwalker or something, and I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. So it went up. This is a playbill from Kinky Boots, where Todrick Hall was starring in at the time. Again, I was lucky to be over there for work. Got to go and see Todrick in it, met him afterwards, he signed it, he was so friendly. It was one of those awkward moments as well, because I remember we posed for a photo, it was all cool, I looked at the camera and it was completely blurry. So after going through all that, we had to go back and be like, yo Todrick, can we do one more take? And of course he was obliging, we got a really nice photo, and I love the musical, and his voice just matches with it so well, and such a fun time at Broadway. This is a print from Basil and Ford, and you're going to see quite a lot of their work around my house because I just love the mix of the old and the new, and typography is something I love. So this is printed onto a genuine vintage book that shows kind of the Victorian 19th century how to dress, and on it has the lyric "Fix up, look sharp," and that's from Dizzy Rascal of course, and it reminded me of the time when I performed at the Olympics opening ceremony. It ended with "Fix up, look sharp," it ended with Dizzy Rascal, and that was bringing it up to date. So the lyric is really cool, and I love that it's on this vintage book. And I had to have this lyric on the wall because I remember someone came into the office once before I even knew who Lizzo was and said, I just heard this song on the way in and you have to listen to it, I just thought of you. And I turned it on and it was like, I just took a DNA test. I listened to it and I was like, I'm 100% that rich. And it's a little nod to that because I love it and it's my vibe. It was either that song or people always used to say Rich Better Have My Money was the other one by Rihanna. So I don't know what people think of me, but I just didn't think it was right for an entranceway, so I thought this was a little bit more appropriate, and Rich Better Have My Money might be a little bit better, but when you're leaving the house. Another press clipping here, this time with Gwen Burton, the Queen. If you know who Bob Fosse is, you know who Gwen Burton is. And she just originates so many parts, and she was that style, and she was such a muse. So she had to be celebrated in this corridor. This shot is from Redhead, again a really great musical if you listen to it on Spotify. I love hearing her do her London accent, it's probably good as my Cockney when I was in Oliver. It was a star vehicle for her and kind of really built around her skills, her singing, her dancing, so I don't know if we'll ever see it again, so it's a really cool moment in time. And to conclude the tour, we of course have Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. This was another lockdown purchase. It was a really random one because I remember it came up, I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw this album artwork with them with the intertwined hair and it looked like something out of Baps and I just knew I had to have it. It was before you'd heard the song, before you even knew what WAP was, you just had to pre-order it to get it and it was $18 and I was kind of like, oh that's quite a lot for a random thing that I've never heard of. Little did I know it would be the biggest song of lockdown of my life. I was part of the street team, I felt. I remember everyone that I saw, I was like, have you heard WAP? Have you seen the video? So this was the best purchase I ever had. It was delayed as well. I think I waited 6 months, 8 months till afterwards. And part of me was thinking, is it even coming? Then it arrived and it's a printed vinyl and it's one of my most treasured objects. So thank goodness I was scrolling Instagram at 6 in the morning, saw it on pre-order, took the risk that it was going to be this iconic moment and I love it so much.